Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Yoko under pressure to release Ashanti Regional MPP chairman from custody despite his failure to meet bail conditions. This afternoon, we'll be going to Parliament to gauge the mood there. A day after the minority caucus staged a walkout to protest the arrest and incarceration of Chairman Wontumi. Also coming up, our Crown High Court threatens to dissolve the Gregory Afoko murder retrial jury if the Attorney General fails to reach a decision on the way forward by the next adjourned case. And much later, we explore whether or not the demolished Sakumono Ramsar site area can be restored to its natural wetland status. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, lawyers for the embattled Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Enchibuesiakon, popularly known as Wontumi, are making another frantic attempt to meet bail conditions for his release after spending 3 nights in custody. Wontumi was arrested on Tuesday by the Economic and Organised Crime Office and is being investigated for fraud, money laundering and causing financial loss to the state. Now, despite being granted bail in the sum of 50 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties, the NPP stalwart remains in custody due to his inability to meet the stringent conditions. On Thursday, minority MPs marched from Parliament to Yoko headquarters in Accra to protest his continued detention, with Minority Leader Alexander Penyomarkin demanding a variation of Wontumi's bail term. Listen.
Right. For a man to be treated the way he's been treated, a Ghanaian citizen, you claim you are investigating him, he goes to the CID headquarters, he walks in freely himself, police grants him self-recognizance bail, whilst he's walking out of the police headquarters, in a Rambo style, he's arrested, you interrogate him, he makes himself available, your next thing is that go and bring title property worth 50 million cedis. What kind of country are we in? Have they looked at the Constitution? They should vary the bail terms. The man is unwell. He's in their custody. They know. So they should vary. Wontumi will not run anywhere. And I'm telling our friends in the NDC, 4 years will soon come. And if they think what they are doing is right, they should watch it.
Minority Leader Alexander Apenyomarkin, meanwhile, Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaliba, has criticized the minority's protest, calling it quote-unquote lawlessness. He argued that the minority should have pursued legal avenues rather than taking to the streets.
The police then picked him for unlawful entry into a forest reserve. That same conduct can occasion another crime. Which crime is what Yoko 2 is dealing with? Money laundering, because the predicated offense is you engage in illegal mining. So money laundering is as a result of the predicated offense of illegal mining. Then you transform the money into another...
Maybe asset or something.
Exactly. When the money is transferred into doing another activity, that's where the money laundering is. It's not just about carrying the money outside. Now he's been granted bail after interrogation. Yes, you may feel that the bail condition is high, but how do you get that overturned? All administrative bodies in this country are under judicial review of our courts. So if you see that an administrative body is going or has done something which is beyond its jurisdiction, you proceed to court and have the court try to overturn what they have done. On this equation, we are seeing the minority engaging in lawless behavior.
And you heard the Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaliba. Well, private legal practitioner Austin Bracco-Powers argues that Iyoko is overstepping its boundaries by holding Wontumi beyond 48 hours after his arrest.
The police then picked him for unlawful entry into a forest reserve. That same conduct can occasion.
If you feel a law enforcement agency or the police or any of the other law enforcement agencies, as you well articulated, Iyoko, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, plays an onerous, or let me say, a bail condition you feel that is onerous, your first option will have to be to go to court and have the court vary. Go and make a legal agreement before the court, for the court to see a reason in why it should intervene in varying a bail condition. That's the first route. The second route is that, the law enforcement agencies are not supposed to detain a suspect beyond 48 hours. So, ordinarily, if you impose a bail condition on a suspect and you know the suspect is unable to meet the bail condition, it is clear to you that the suspect cannot meet the bail condition. So you, the law enforcement agency, you must also go to court within the 48 hours. And this is a right you must exercise because it's a constitutional provision, it's a constitutional injunction per Article 14.3, and also when you look at Section 15 of Act 30, the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act. So these two options, I was expecting that at least either the lawyers for Wontumi will exercise that option or Iyoko will exercise that option because beyond 48 hours, Iyoko is overstepping its boundary.
Private legal practitioner Austin Bracco-Powers. Let's engage Professor Kwadwo Appiah-Etua, University of Ghana School of Law. Good afternoon to you, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. A pleasure for having me.
Prof, I'm sure you heard the minority, and saw them resorting to demonstrations yesterday to push for a review of Wontumi's bail conditions. Beyond the protests that we saw, and we're hearing that they may embark on another one today, what legal mechanisms can Wontumi's legal team employ to secure his release?
I'm sorry, the line is not very clear.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Better.
I was asking whether beyond the protest there is any legal way Wontumi's legal team can employ to secure his release.
Oh yeah, certainly there's a legal way. It's unfortunate that this is the approach that the MPs have decided to adopt, or the NPP as a whole, because the number of lawyers within the NPP that know what the procedure is. If a bail condition is given and it is too onerous to honor, the step provided by the law is to proceed to court, make an application for the bail conditions to be varied. And, bail is a right that every individual or citizen is entitled to. So it cannot be taken away from any person who is alleged to have committed an offense. And so in this particular context, I think the proper thing for the NPP to do is to proceed to court. What is happening is just being dramatic, and I think it's needless. The members of parliament have a duty to perform within the presence of parliament. They are supposed to perform their constitutional function. And so doing this does not help them to fulfill the mandate for which they have been assigned to do for the country as a whole. This is taking a parochial interest which doesn't augur well for the good of the country. And it's likely to even lead to lawlessness because people within the party are taking a cue from what they are doing. So the proper thing is to proceed to court.
So you think as honorable members what they did yesterday does not befit them?
No, it is not proper. I think it's needless. And it is creating some drama and unnecessary tension. I think that they know what to do, and they should proceed to do that. To recall, one journalist was attacked at the Iyoko precinct.
Yes.
It could be attributed to this act of lawlessness by the members of parliament who are supposed to pass the laws and know the law.
In terms of proceeding to court, as you're suggesting, will it be on the ticket of, for instance, bail variation applications or what people would say habeas corpus petitions?
Habeas corpus means that you don't know where the body is, so you're asking the court to produce the body. But I think they will know where the body is, so it will be for varying of the bail conditions. And the courts always do that. Even in the Adu case, in a more recent case, they also went to court for the court to vary the terms. So that is something not unusual, which they know, the lawyers, unless the lawyers among them, or being a member of parliament, you should know. So that is the way to go.
We had a private legal practitioner, a person we spoke to earlier. I don't know whether you had the opportunity to listen to him when we played his sound, talking about Iyoko's authority and that 48-hour detention rule. His argument is that Iyoko is overstepping its mandate by detaining Wontumi beyond 48 hours without trial. I'm just wondering what you know about what the law says regarding Iyoko's detention limit and whether or not Wontumi can challenge this legally.
I don't think I agree with that proposition because if Iyoko says he will not grant you bail and a 48-hour limit is exceeded, then you can find Iyoko having violated the Constitution. But here, they granted the bail and they said fulfill the conditions before the person will be let go. And that is normal, unless it's self-recognizance bail. But this kind of bail situation, where you need sureties and so on, and to be justified, you need to make sure that the bail conditions are met before you can go. So the moment they grant you the bail, that period, 48-hour period, ceases to run. And so at that time, if it's even 1 week before you can meet the bail conditions, then it's entirely your fault. It's the fault of the one who is applying for or who is entitled to the bail. And so the 48-hour does not run. And therefore, I don't think you can fault Iyoko for that. For me, what probably you can fault Iyoko is the way they went about to arrest Mr. Wontumi. I think that so-called Rambo-style approach is definitely wrong. But having put him in the cells and interviewed him and saying that we are granting you the bail, but these are the terms. Bail terms necessarily are not supposed to be onerous. But they want to be, Iyoko wants to be sure that the person may not run away, or they look at the nature of the offense, the types of crimes that the person is alleged to have committed, to determine the amount of money that should be used for before the bail will be granted. And so if they feel that they are not, it's too onerous and it's burdensome, and they don't think that their client can meet that condition, the next step is to go to court.
So what
not to organize these events.
So what I hear you say is that you don't necessarily agree with what the lawyer is saying, but you think that Iyoko too could have done better.
They could have done better in terms of the manner of arrest, but not in terms of the bail that they have set on Mr. Wontumi. So that, but if they feel that Iyoko has done something wrong or has overreached his powers and so on, they go to court. The court is ready waiting for them.
Prof,
yes.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Pleasure.
And you had the Professor Kwadwo Appiah-Agyetua. He is with the University of Ghana School of Law. And it's a day after the members of the minority staged a walkout from Parliament in protest against the arrest and incarceration of the New Patriotic Party's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Entry-Boesiakon, the man we just spoke about with Professor Atua. Now, the minority members walked to the headquarters of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Yoko, where Mr. Boesiakon is being held after his lawyers failed to meet a 50 million bail condition for him. But what is the mood and situation like in Parliament as the House resumes for business today? Evelyn Tingma is our correspondent. She joins us live on the phone. Evelyn, just tell us what's happening in the House now.
Right, so Beatrice, as we speak, proceedings started about 20 minutes ago, and the Majority Leader, Muhammad Yariga, presented the business statement for next week to the House, and some MPs have been raising concerns regarding the business statement that was presented by the majority leader. And so, for instance, we had the Deputy Minority Whip, Habib Idrisu, raising a concern that the holiday that the president promised to give Muslims, the 2 holidays that he promised, that is missing, or this is harder. And so he is saying that the majority leader should carry that message to the Interior Minister to make sure that that is involved. 2 holidays are given to Muslim communities. And so as we speak, the minority members are in the chamber. And you know that yesterday the minority leader said they will absent themselves from parliamentary proceedings. But as we speak, they are all in here and taking part in the proceedings. But what I do suspect is that they may leave the chamber later on. As you know, members of parliament are not supposed to absent themselves without reasons, or 15 sitting days, absenting themselves for 15 sitting days without permission. Otherwise, your seat could be declared vacant. And so the members of parliament, the minority members, know of this. And so they're here, and I suspect that maybe after taking part in this proceedings for a while, they may decide to walk out or boycott the proceedings. So that is what I suspect. But as we speak, they are currently in the chamber and the business is going on.
Business is going on, but has there been any official pronouncement from the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, or the majority leadership on what happened yesterday?
Not at all. The Speaker himself is not in the chair. We have the first Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, who is in the chair now, and he was in the chair yesterday when the incident happened. And so, and this is not a matter that is that concerns Parliament. It was the minority leader who raised the matter on the floor. Even that the first Deputy Speaker didn't want to give him that opportunity to speak because it's not part of the rules. And so there's a procedure you have to go through to raise that matter on the floor. But the Speaker has to be very lenient with him and allow him to do that. And so it is not a matter that can just come up on the floor for discussion. And so that has not been done, Beatrice.
Beyond, Evelyn, my last question, beyond the proceedings currently ongoing that the minority is participating in, what else should we expect for today?
So today, looking at the order paper, it is a lean one, and we are expecting some papers to be laid, and then that will be it, because we have some few committee meetings that will take place. And so normally on Fridays, a lot of things do not happen on the floor, but on looking at the order paper, the business here is not quite heavy, and so we are not expecting much today.
Thank you so much, Evelyn Tema. She's our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Some 19 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll tell you why the Accra High Court is threatening to dissolve the jury hearing the Gregory Afoko murder retrial. Don't go away.
Ghana, it's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba. Hey, freezer. Adama. Adama, Metimoso, my sorry. Canino, Obo Moasia. I do for Nobium Unum and Salas and 9. I tell what we did was here. Adama for what we say. Yet, you drew back up a ship will be a high technology. I could for freezer. When Kwan, and once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what you know, fugum. What the bus here, for your being over what you have got to say, over Timono. Then we are sure, sir, women shown task here. ne mase na for na no freezer umpa we na pade freezer
basia ebe so do so ama amoni age
omuti na me wasika omuti na me di me nyina du ba so mo dum adama wo that adama no kuya adama you can't resist
ubenya adama West Africa for adwue bi wo be bibia ye ton kraye ho adwu afi kayo na kenkan enchoya ewo adwue ho.
Some 21 minutes past the hour of 12 now. The Accra High Court has threatened to dissolve the jury hearing the Gregory Afoko murder retrial if the Attorney General is unable to reach a decision by the next adjourned date. State attorneys notified the court that the AG was still reviewing the case of Gregory Afoko and Asake Alangdi to determine whether to discontinue the trial and pleaded for adjournment. The second time the prosecution has done so. Afoko is accused of conspiring with Alangdi to murder former Upper East Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Adams Mahama. Remember that in April 2024, a 7-member jury returned a hung verdict acquitting Afoko of murder and conspiracy to commit murder with a 4-3 decision, but unanimously convicted Asape of conspiracy. Now, Alangdi was then sentenced to death. He has since appealed the High Court's decision. The High Court has ordered a retrial but is yet to start after the Attorney General disclosed that it is reviewing the case to decide on how to proceed with it. First, we'll be going to Lord Edwasari very shortly, our court affairs correspondent, but let's listen to Afoko.
I'm only praying for him that God should always guide him and protect him and give him the wisdom to always stand by the truth, because from the start, I've seen that he's an honest man who really believes in the truth and the rule of law. Because when the case was rolling for all these 10 years, I saw that there's nothing in it. In the first place, I have not planned it, I have not thought of it. I didn't commit any crime. I knew deep down my heart I haven't committed any crime. But these people keep on changing the goalpost. You bring first 14 witnesses. I remember the judge said, no, this is not the case. They should bring their addresses for him to close the docket. One justice. Large people have punished me all these years, but I thank them very much. I prefer that.
And you heard there Gregory Afoko there speaking earlier. And let's see, Lord Edwasari, what more can you tell us as regards what's happening today?
Beatrice, can you come again?
I was asking you to give us the latest on this. The court is
expecting the state attorneys or the prosecution to give an update from the AG's quarters, because at the last agenda they had indicated that the AG was considering the way forward for Gregory Afoko's case. But when it came out today, they again pleaded for more time because they indicated that the Attorney General was not done with his consideration, and so they needed more time before that decision would be made. At that point, the presiding judge in the matter, Marie-Louise Simmons, indicated that she actually urged the AG to expedite the decision because the state that the prosecution is leaving the accused person, Gregory Afoko, is quite unfortunate because he appears to be very anxious, not knowing what will become of his case, since the AG has not said anything regarding his case. And so she indicated that the jury has also been constituted, and then as it stands now, they don't know whether the case is going to proceed or the Attorney General is going to discontinue the case. And so she was indicating that she actually indicated that if by the next agenda the Attorney General has not made up his mind on how the case should move forward, she may be forced to dissolve the jury and either constitute a new one, or the court will have to make a whole decision on that front. And so she adjourned the date to July 15th, I should say, by which time she was hoping that the Attorney General would have made up their mind on how the case should proceed on the matter. Gregory, you heard him earlier, you were speaking about it. He admitted that indeed he's sort of sitting, he doesn't know where he sits or where he stands right now because the AG is yet to complete the consideration of his matter, but he was actually praying to the AG to look into the facts of the matter, and then he realized that he's actually innocent. There was no way he could have committed offenses that he's been charged with and all that. And so Beatrice, we wait to see how things will pan out. If by the next agenda, the Attorney General would have discontinued the case or would decide to still proceed with a retrial of Gregory Afoko.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Lord Edwasari, our Court Affairs correspondent. Now, it's a story that has dominated the media space, at least in the past 2 weeks. The demolition of structures at one of Ghana's wetlands, the Ramsar site at Sakumono in Accra. Now, governments over the years have tried to clear people from this protected natural site, but it seems efforts have failed to yield the needed result. Why so? I'm joined in the studio now by Wisdom Safo. He's with our research desk. Wisdom, first, for those who are wondering which kind of protected natural site we're talking about, as in the wetland, first tell us, what is a wetland?
Okay, so Beatrice, a wetland is a land where you have water covering the surface of the land or beneath, directly beneath the land for most of the year. So it include the swamp, the marshes, the lagoons. So these are the wetlands. But some people confuse it with Ramsar sites. Ramsar sites are different from wetlands. Ramsar sites are internationally recognized wetlands. Okay, so there was a conference that was held in 1988 in Iran, and they commissioned some Ramsar sites. Immediately after that, 1993, Ghana also conformed to that declaration. So we've declared some of our wetlands as also at Ramsar sites. So these places are very important because they serve as a place to block flood, serve as a flood defense. They filter impurities in our water bodies, and they serve as a natural biodiversity area. So these places are very, very important.
Just again in 30 seconds, the difference between wetland and Ramsar sites.
So the wetlands generally are places where water covers the face of the land or directly underneath the land or beneath the land. It includes the marshes, the swamps, the lagoons. But for Ramsar sites, they are internationally recognized wetlands.
How many does Ghana have?
So Ghana currently has 6 Ramsar sites. We have one in the Densu Delta. We have the Sakumono. We also have the Songo Lagoon, the Keta Lagoon, the Owobi Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Muni Pumaze Lagoon also in the central region. So the largest of all these Ramsar sites is the Keta Lagoon. But the most encroached or the most heavily encroached is the one at the Sakumono.
Let me ask you 2 questions in one. Why has it been, because of time, why has it been difficult for governments to clear people of these lands, and what really is being done now?
So most of the governments in the past have always embarked on the encroachment exercises, but anytime they go, the people find their way through and come back to these places to try and
do the demolition exercises.
The demolition exercises, they demolish the structures, but they go back and come to these places again because of, follow-ups. We don't do follow-ups, and the people too, they are somehow politically connected people. So even if you sack them, they'll find their way and build these structures back. And actually, one of the major reasons is that Accra is expanding. Everybody wants to be in Accra. So sometimes you don't have any other option than to build in this Ramsar site. So we have to have a collective effort, a place where we will have a structured long-term contingency plan to evacuate all these people and finally get our Ramsar sites and these wetlands free.
Indeed, and we know that the current Greater Accra Regional Minister, yes. Lindo Klu, is leading efforts towards this as well. And we also know that the Minority Chief with Frank Anodompre is asking the local government minister and other relevant authorities to brief Parliament on what's happening with this demolition. Thank you very much for joining us. Log on to shrenews.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Bismarck Awusa.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up this afternoon, Chairman of Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Dr. Adu Entry backs proposals for government to return to international capital markets as he argues long-term financing is key to sustainable development.
We'll be using the short-term market for development. The long-term market is what you use for development.
Also ahead, economist Professor Peter Korte calls for cuts in value-added tax VAT rate to boost compliance and business growth.
For most African countries, it's between 15 to 18%. VAT is between 15 to 18%. Ours is 21%, and some is straight levy and levies, what have you.
These stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Dr. Adu Entry, has thrown his support behind renewed push for government to re-enter the international capital market, describing it as a necessary step for financing long-term national development. His remarks come on the back of growing discussion about Ghana's return to the capital market under President John Mahama's administration after years of setback due to debt sustainability concerns and a market shutdown during the previous administration. Dr. Adu Entry argues that relying on short-term borrowing limits the government's ability to plan and execute major projects, warning that meaningful development can be achieved without access to long-term funds with reasonable payment timelines.
Well, the capital market is needed. You see, government cannot always be using the short-term market for development. The long-term market is what you use for development. So if government want to do long-term projects, we cannot be using treasury bills. You cannot be issuing treasury bills. You take somebody's money, 3 months time, you are returning the money to the person. What can you do within the 3 months with that money? So for long-term project financing, there's a need for the utilization of the long-term capital market. And there's no way you can do that without you coming to issue long-term bonds. You need money now. Now you need money, and you are depending on short-term. But the short-term one is not right, because you don't have the breathing space to utilize this money. But if you have even 2 years or 5 years, then you know at least you have taken people's money and you are going to keep it for the next 5 years, then you can plan. But if we are going to plan our development based on short term, that will be a challenge.
And that was Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Dr. Adu Entry, backing proposals for international capital market return. Moving on, economist Professor Peter Korte has renewed calls for Ghana's value-added tax VAT rate to be reduced to 15%. He argues that the current rate of 21.75% is deemed punitive and encourages tax evasion. He notes a lower VAT rate would enhance compliance, promote business growth and development.
For most African countries, it's between 15 to 18%. VAT is between 15 to 18%. Ours is 21%, and some is straight levy and levies, what have you. If we bring it down to even 18% and gradually to 15%, it will enhance compliance. But when your tax rate is very high, there is high incentive to evade, because even the business person cannot pay this tax and also be profitable. But if he's able to evade and collude with a customs officer or a GRA official, he will make some profit. So I think we want to encourage compliance, and compliance goes with being able to pay, ability to pay, and paying at reasonable cost. Same with interest rates. If you're a bank and your interest rate is very high, it is the risky ones, those who will default, who come and borrow from you.
You heard economist and director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, Professor Peter Korte. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has addressed potential obstacles to the successful rollout of Ghana's ambitious 24-hour economy agenda, outlining specific measures to ensure its smooth implementation. He revealed that his administration is focusing on strategic interventions, including significant tax reliefs and the establishment of dedicated land banks for investors.
On infrastructure, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund will lead efforts to develop industrial parks, logistics hubs, and upgrade transport links. On financing, the Development Bank of Ghana and the Venture Capital Trust Fund will scale up value chain finance for SMEs, cooperatives, and agribusiness in priority sectors. On land, we will develop local land banks, zoned, titled, and investment ready to reduce any delays and uncertainty to investors. On skills, the Aspire 24 sub-program of the 24-hour economy policy will be launched to train young people for shift-based work, digital roles, and entrepreneurship. And on incentives, we'll introduce tax reliefs on machinery and inputs, fast-track regulatory approvals, and export facilitation.
And that was President John Dramani Mahama detailing strategies to smooth 24-hour economy implementation. Before we go, the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations has signed a memorandum of understanding with Dubai Ports, Customs and Free Zone Corporation and Presite AI to establish the Ghana UAE Innovation and Technology Hub. The hub aims to position Ghana as a leader in digital transformation and technological advancement, creating a platform for investment, innovation, and job creation. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk report. The partnership is expected to drive economic growth, build export capacity in advanced technologies, and strengthen diplomatic ties between Ghana and the UAE. The hub is projected to create thousands of high-value technology-driven jobs and build export capacity in advanced technologies and value-added services. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Sam George, emphasized the importance of digital transformation in Ghana's development agenda, citing the President's vision to diversify the economy and promote inclusive sustainable development. Group Chairman and CEO of DP World, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayam, added that the project is about empowering people to dream, create, and bring ideas to life. And that will be all for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.